Extra search power is needed for the deck, so hopefully they get like a pendulum monster that helps searches its cards, which also helps with spell power mastery in searching as well. Also, it could be helpful if future Endymion cards could generate at least 2 spell counters when a spell card is activated and not just one, as one feels kind of limiting. If Alistar is fusion, Ver is Xyz, Zoroa is synchron, then that will make Endymion link. But it's possible for Endymion to have all 4 summoning methods. With 3 spell counters on reflection of Endymion while in the pendulum zone, it can special summon itself and Endymion from the hand to the field and place a spell counter on both of them. So now with 2 level 7 monsters on the field, we can exceed summon into a rank 7 Endymion monster. With 3 spell counters in the pendulum zone, Servant of Endymion can special summon itself from the pendulum zone and special summon Endymion from the deck to the field. So now we have a level 3 and a level 7 monster on the field, which we can synchro summon into a level 10 Endymion synchro monster by treating one of them with a spell counter on it as a tuner monster. For fusion Endymion, a fusion spell card will probably be needed, but if we were to use Magister of Endymion while it has 3 spell counters in the pendulum zone, it can special summon itself and Endymion from the extra deck face up, and we can tribute summon to fusion, summon the fusion Endymion. So that's how we get to all 4 summoning methods for Endymion. For general effects not really regarding spell counters, one could be your opponents cannot target or destroy face-up cards you control with spell counters. Another one could be this face-up card is unaffected by spell cards or your opponent's spell cards. For the third one, if a spell card is activated, you can place 1 spell counter on each face-up card you control that can hold a spell counter. Now this helps with spell counter generation and having spell counters on cards. A generic one could be face-up monsters you control gain 100 attack for each spell counter on this card or maybe for your field, or you could also say your opponent's monster lose 100 attack for each spell counter on this card or your field. To help in search power, you could also say add a card from your deck that mentions a spell counter on it, probably from your graveyard or banishment, or special summon a monster from your deck, hand or graveyard that can hold a spell counter. So if we go to effects using spell counters, it could literally be anything. It could be to return to hand, it could be to banish, negate a monster effect, negate a spell and trap effect, maybe protection from battle. It could literally be anything, but it should mostly focus on what the deck lacks or what it majorly needs when facing other deck. Maybe remove specific spell counters and negate face-up monsters or attack boosts. So it's basically what the deck needs mostly first. Another effect that came to mind is you can remove spell counters from one particular card and your opponents cannot activate spell cards for that turn, or maybe while this card has 20 or more spell counters, your opponent cannot activate spell cards. During your opponent's end phases, remove all spell counters from that particular card. That particular effect is a little bit too much as most decks rely on their spell cards or heavily use spell cards. So shutting down spell cards for your opponents could be damaging or reduces their play, but it could also be you and your opponents cannot activate spell cards, so you have to rely on your monsters on the field with spell counters and their specific effects to carry you through that turn.